I want to talk about something that really hasn't been kind of just hidden in history. I feel like it's like I'm the only person that is alive or just remembers this or wants to talk about it or something. And so, what I was going to do is talk about fractal music or fractal generative music. Um, there's a lot I have to say, but I want to kind of briefly go over how I got into this and what it is. Well, the first thing that happened, if I think you'll see from my history, you'll see what happened was around 95, I was tinkering with computers all the time, semi-employed. I was a temp agency, employed with a temp agency, and I downloaded a thing called Bach Generator, and it would create little Bach pieces. It would play it through your little PC speaker, and it was pretty cool. And I played with that for a while, but that got kind of old. You just click a button, it would generate some music, and then it was intriguing. And then I was able to get my own sound card and MIDI keyboard for really cheap, like 150 bucks or something. So I splurged and bought that, and I started doing conventional MIDI sequencing using my built-in sound card and an external MIDI keyboard. And that was fun for a while. But then I started downloading different software that you could get for free on the internet. And this was around 97, 98. And so I found some automated set step sequencers and really interesting experimental software, and that was really interesting. And then I eventually ran across some stuff that would generate music like that Bach generator, but you could feed things into it. For example, you could do uh, the stock exchange and feed that into that, and then it would do the numbers and it would play that numbers. And so I played with that for a while, and that ended up being kind of boring. We'd run some fractals into it, and it'd just be kind of meandering nonsense music. It wasn't that interesting musically. It was fun to do, but it was not that good of music. So I wanted to do something better. And so then I was joined this online community of people that were trying to generate music just to see what kind of software is out there and to see what could be done. And so there was a creative, it's called Fractal and Generative Music discussion groups of various kinds. And one eventually ended up on Yahoo Chat or Yahoo Talk or Yahoo Forums or whatever it's called. And then so I participated in that, and this guy named Phil Jackson, who was a fractal, he liked the fractal graphics, and he had a website of fractal graphics, and he was really into that, the visual side of it, which is I also discovered that first. And he also was interested in fractally generated music, and he would have a graphic of picture with some fractal generated music to go along with it. That was kind of cool. And so he would download various software, and he found this stuff called Tangent by Paul Whaley, software called Tangent. Paul Whaley developed it, and that was based on pseudo random. And that was a very brilliant piece of software. It was like it was built by somebody that kind of understood music to a certain degree, like Frank Zappa type of thing. And I listened to it, and it sounded like classical music. So first time I heard it, I was floored. Phil Jackson composed some music, and I listened to it, and I was like, "This is really good." And he said, "It's a beta right now." I said, "Well, I can't wait till I can get my hands on that." And so I kept bugging him about it. He finally showed me where to get it, and so I immediately downloaded that. So I remember being really excited about that development. And so that was, in my opinion, Tangent was my most productive uh, way of generating music, and it was challenging at the same time as being kind of musical and expressive, and you never knew what it was going to do, so you could try to kind of manipulate it to do what you want to do. And so I got pretty good at it because I spent hours and hours working on it. And so we had a competition, and we had other really good people that could do classical music with it. And so we had a competition, and one of the competitions was to make music with an alien type of theme, like a extraterrestrial type of concept. And so I made two pieces of music. that were worth talking about. I submitted two of them. One was called Black Hole, which is a hilarious thing, piece of music, I thought, because you're trying to make the music go down a black hole, and that was um, really kind of zany. And so I really fell in love with that. That I thought that was a funny thing, and I thought that was going to win. But there's this other thing I submitted called Abducted, and that was more of an X themes, kind of a scary minor key, that kind of a thing. And so that was pretty, it was pretty solid. And uh, it was pretty solid, and really did stick out, like it made sense. So that won the award. It was just this thing on the internet trophy. I used to tell people about an internet trophy. Um, and then there's another guy named Phil Thompson who created a Gingerbread, which is a Mandelbrot music set generator, and he's a professional musician, and he's put out a couple albums of his music with that and non-fractal music, and got into dance music. And I remember I created some dance music with Gingerbread, his software, and it's called Sentence to Dance, and minor key dance music. And I told him, I said, I kind of feel guilty because I was kind of abusing your software. I wasn't really thinking about fractals. I'm just a guy that's trying to make tunes, And he said, hey, I'm the same way, And he said, more power to you. And it turns out later on he ended up making dance music, so he knew what he's listening to. So then that kind of just faded away, and I want to tell you why I lost interest in it, and why it just kind of faded into nothingness. And I think part of the problem was that it was the terminology, the language you use in a web search is complicated now. It seems like you can't search the internet or anything without getting something else that's not what you're looking for. And so if you were to search, electronic music or computer music or anything, you always come across looping. Looping was really a big deal, where acid loops and all that. And so people started instead of using MIDI to hear the music, they're starting to listen to audio files, and they're also starting to loop music. So looping got more popular, and so musicians got into the people that weren't musically inclined, that couldn't play guitar and keyboards and all those nerdy type of people. They could just click and drag and create music from other people's guitar rhythm playing. And so I think that was much more appealing. And we were listening to MIDI files. It was really cheesy sounding MIDI, so it was not that nice sounding. And now all of a sudden you can have really good sounding digital music. So it kind of just didn't really, it was too cheesy, It's kind of a shame that happened, And I was actually hoping that maybe the next version of MP3s, like MP4 format, would be a format that would include digital information like MIDI note values and stuff like that you could download, or like a package of loops that you download along with a software that puts it all together. And you could create MIDI automated software that would unpack this, like unzip it, and then it would unzip it so you could quickly download it. And so that's what I was thinking, because back in those days, download speeds were pretty slow, and all of a sudden now everybody could get 10 megabytes per second, high-speed internet came out, and well, that whole concept you didn't need to have that. So that was kind of a dumb idea, but it still has its place. And then, so I felt like I'd gone as far as I could personally. I basically said, there's not much further I can go with this. I'm pretty much done. So I want to make real music. So I started playing keyboards and guitar and other instruments for reals, and started trying to record that. Pan out, so they went on to something else. And then a couple things, maybe it became a little bit political. People started getting a little bit pissed off at each other over political issues and over just kind of what we're supposed to be doing. It was such a diverse, group of people, people from all over the world, and people that had different lifestyles. And this is kind of before, the internet, social media took off. So it was awkward sometimes. And also another thing is our discussion group for Tangent and other stuff became filled with spam. We were using email distribution lists, and that got filled with spam. And then I think also social media took over, and people just kind of lost interest in it, stuff like that. So I'm not covering the whole history of it. There's some things to look at, like Brian Eno did generative music. Robert Fripp did his own kind of stuff. Uh, so it was kind of down my alley because I was into that. They've been doing, computer music since the computer was invented. The song Days missing, I think, today is just the creativity of trying to program a computer to make music, and the you're not taking somebody else's idea. You're the computer's helping you make the music, and you set parameters in it, and it gets pretty technical and pretty challenging to make some music with it. So MIDI's kind of just gone out the window. They have this other stuff called, I forgot what it's called, and I got into a bunch of different stuff like making instruments. But anyway, so I hope maybe someday that will come back. Right now I'm just kind of going checking back on what people are doing right now, and so I thought maybe I'd start off by just making a video so that there's somebody, if they search Fractal Generative Music and they remember it, they'll see my video and say, oh, I remember you. You're the guy that did you know did that Abducted song, or something like that.